Greetings and welcome back to another FFF. I'm KatherineOfSky, and we are looking at, if you're new to this, the Factorio Friday Facts, which are the blog that the devs do on the game. It is number 424, Gleba Pentapod enemies. We have been waiting. Oh, excuse me, cat. We've been waiting for enemies forever. And so a lot of you know that I don't like enemies, but I'm not opposed to enemies in games. It's just that I find Factorio enemies to be completely boring. They have no challenge. They're just like either there are way too many of them and you're dead, or you outrace them with technology, so they're really easy. So I find them to be no challenge. And I'm hoping that we're going to get new ones that have challenge. And I have already read this FFF, and I gotta say, looking good, looking interesting. And I hope that this interestingness will be on the other planets as well. So let's get to it. Hello, it's time. Stumpy time. Yeah. All right. So if you want to avoid spoilers and experience them on your own, you should not watch this video, and you should not read the FFF either. A trumpeting scream quietens all the small animals. You hear the breaking of waves, followed by stomping, earth-shaking steps that are getting louder and louder. Looking in the direction of the sound, you see a cliff rising to a tall hill. The fungus at the top shakes a little with each stomp, but the source is somewhere further behind the hill. You ready your weapons, but the sound stops getting louder and instead moves to the right, then gradually fades into the distance. Whatever it was big. After climbing the hill to investigate, you see a valley on the other side. Some large, translucent green eggs float on a raft of slimy foam in a pool of shallow water. You get closer. The eggs are soft like jelly, the portion above water sagging under their own weight. In the center is a dark, blurry mass of tangled limbs and eyes. This video has sound. Let's watch. Oh my god. So we're investigating. What did we just see? Oh my goodness. Oh, okay. Enemies already? There's the eggs. Look at this. We're letting our little lasers do most of the work here. Oh, guns. Yeah. Laser. I wonder if that's a laser or if that's just automated, like, suit defenses. It looks like suit defenses because we're having flamethrower and the lasers at the same time. Yeah. Oh my goodness, aren't those fun? So these are all pentapods, or starfeet as we now will call them. Oh, careful engineer, do be careful. Oh dear, they keep coming, don't they? They keep on coming. Oh, there we go. The spindly one is dead. Look at that fun one. Look at how big that one is. It's like a giant Spider-Tron. Those have stompy feet that will kill you. Oh my goodness. This is pretty great though. This is pretty great. Is that like an automatic rocket launcher, or are they just like launching it? No. That takes a lot of damage. The spindly ones kind of do too, I think. They are not like pushovers. This is like serious boss monster. Oh, yep, and it erupts in a lovely stream of tiny ones. So we killed the thing. There's flying creatures as well here. Wait, is that the flung thing? No, 4 wings spring from the side of the projectile and it steers toward you like a homing missile. Yeah, there are flying ones here too. All right, so we're not going to read the rest of the story. It's very long, but it's really good. Arendelle did a great job of writing this. Mechanics. The new enemies on Gleba are pentapods, as in 5-legged creatures. They're based on the distant relatives of starfish or sea stars. So sometimes we call them starfish, land stars, or starfeet. I like starfeet. It kind of has this like vibe of outer space, not just starfish. So starfeet. I'm going to call them starfeet. I hope you guys do too. Mostly though, we call them by their most common names of stompers, strafers, and wrigglers. I can see that too. I probably would call the big ones stompers, but the rest are just starfeet. Spindly starfeet and small starfeet. Okay, and here, this is an interesting kind of I'll read this because it is interesting. When you first encounter the pentapods, it could be that you rush to space, went straight to Gleba, and are very weak in combat. At the other end of the spectrum, you could be your third new planet, and you could have spent a long time investing in military technology, including new weapons from other planets. This range of combat capability makes it difficult to choose a good starting threat level of the enemies. For now, we're going for a threat level that makes the starting evolutions difficult if you are completely unprepared, but still survivable if you have standard equipment, even if it's lacking in damage upgrades. This annoys me. I don't like this. This means that enemies are, again, not a challenge. Am I wrong? No, I'm not wrong. This is what it says. It says it's not a challenge. Also, if you're completely unprepared, that just makes the enemies more difficult to take down on your own. But then as an engineer with a pocket full of turrets, never needs to be solo. Again, you're just saying that turret creep works again. Even if you don't have military upgrades. Sigh. Really? You give me this interesting video that looks good, and then you're telling me you can just kill it with a bunch of turrets? Yeah. One of the reasons we can risk the pentapod enemies starting... Well, this is a starting level. Okay. Starting with better combat capability than biters is because they're fairly passive. Okay. They will defend their nests and attack you if you attack at a nearby ally, but otherwise they will leave you alone at first. If you do fight them and win, they will evolve. So they go on to say there's no such thing as pollution because the atmosphere and all of the things on Gleba would just eat pollution. It doesn't matter. But we are collecting spores for the trees and stuff that we're harvesting, all those like veggie stuff that we need to do, if you remember that FFF on those. And so that smell of the good fruits and stuff is attracting them because we're like, you know, the farm. We're farming free for them, so they go and take our stuff. I like this, though. They cause the local enemies to evolve as they are exposed to your agricultural growth formula and meddling ways. That was a great sentence. Egg rafts. These are the spawners. Destroying an egg raft will yield some of the pentapod eggs it contained. They do degrade somewhat, otherwise known as hatching. So if you have them in your pocket too long, they will start to kill you. They will hatch out of you and you will just, be surrounded. So, and we're told also that they're needed in making a biochamber, which is needed for your factory production stuff. I like that. I like that, like, in early days, Factorio Science, to make purple, was it purple science? Yeah, it was purple science. It was before the current purple science. It was like sort of fuchsia science or something. Anyway, that one needed alien artifacts or alien eggs, basically. But that was a constant thing. As you know, science keeps getting consumed. But this is for making machines, which is less need for them, which I approve of. This is okay. And then, of course, they go on to say that, you know, as you're in space, you're going to need to automate this as well. This reminds me of early biter farms. That we would probably need to set up like a biter farm. So Starfleet farm. Okay, so, and then we're going to talk about the different animals. These are wrigglers, the tiny ones. They're not very threatening individually. Their damage is from claws is reasonable, but they're very fragile and tend to die quickly to most weapons in your arsenal, as we've seen. We saw the lasers, we saw the gun, which is probably the SMG, and the flamethrower. All of those were, and the missiles. Well, the missiles were mostly aimed at the Stomper, but anyway. So yeah, their true advantage is overwhelming numbers. Yeah, I can see that for sure. Okay, both Stompers and Strafers can deliver newborn wrigglers straight to you. When you're faced with a large threat like a Stomper, it's easier to overlook a steady accumulation of seemingly weak wrigglers, and before long they can become a vicious, deadly horde. Yes, that sounds like an ARPG. Anyway, strafers are fairly fragile, but use range and speed to outmaneuver opponents. They launch flying wrigglers at their target like a homing missile. When a flying wriggler, why is that so hard to say, flying wriggler, hits the target, it falls to the ground, becoming a normal wriggler, ready to keep attacking. All right, so they don't continue to fly. That's interesting. Strafers try to keep their target at a distance and circle it. And then the devs give us an instant strategy. So they outrange the gun and laser turrets. You will need to consider this in your defenses. If you place a single turret, then a strafer will be able to destroy it with no consequence. However, if you make a large area of turrets, then the strafer will try to circle one turret it's fixated on, and while doing so, it will probably wander into the range of another turret. So they're telling us how to defeat this thing. So that means when you're doing your turret creep, you just place not in a whole row, but just place one in a distance from each other. Okay, so when they take distance damage, they will try to back away, but they can't change direction instantly. So if they go into range of some turrets, they might not make it back out. Right. Ideally, you want weapons with long range or high alpha strike. I don't know what alpha strike is. Like the rocket turret, which is unlocked on Gleba, or the Tesla turret from Fulgora. Alpha strike. No idea. Stompers. These look great. Stompers are extremely tough and can tank a lot of damage. Tank, yes. They have short range spit attack, but their primary attack is stomping prey with their feet. So they're definitely melee creatures. The foot does a lot of damage with a direct hit, and there's also an area of splash damage when the creature stomps in combat mode. Now that's kind of important, because does that mean that if they're stomping on our buildings, they're not going to do splash damage as they walk on our factories? I guess. The splash damage means that densely packed defenses take more damage. That's in combat mode. Wait, is it always in combat mode then? Because if it's combating our buildings, then it would do splash damage. Is it not in combat mode, as in it doesn't destroy its own structures? Confusion. All right. Could it wander over our buildings in non-combat mode if we build too close? Or does it have to be, I don't know, annoyed? Okay. As in, like, what's the word? Aggroed. Okay. Sparse networks of defenses are more resilient to their attacks. When a stomper is killed, the young wrigglers it protects under its shell are released as new opponents. We saw that in the video. The stompers and strafers, I also like how they show how tiny those little wrigglers are compared to the stomper. Stompers and strafers can both walk over walls and cliffs, so walling yourself in is not as effective on Gleba. Can we not just build higher walls? Hello? Hello? Or electrified walls? You know? The wrigglers can't bypass walls once they're on the ground, but that doesn't help when they can be thrown over the wall by a strafer or delivered inside by a stomper. What I'm thinking is, if you want walls, I think what we probably should be doing is do 2 sets of walls or 3 sets of walls and have turrets in between each set of walls, you know, so that the turrets can just kill everything. But yet the walls will protect the wrigglers from getting inside and destroying the base. Wouldn't hurt to have a couple turrets inside the base as well. All right. Right. So design. So then they had constraints for the design. Should not be anything with fur. There should not be no there should be no vertebrates. My first few designs covered a wide range of directions, so next he added a constraint of things that shouldn't get too alien. Oh, Arendelle, I want to see your 2 alien stuff. I really want to see those. That could be cool. So then that puts us in a range of designs that approximately look like they could have evolved from Earth creatures thousands or millions of years ago. That's still a huge range of options, though nature can be freaky. Yes, we have seen nature freaky. Man, YouTube is great. So one of the enemies should be really large, and they also had this like Spidertron thing, animation thing going on. Leggy Tech, as he calls it. So that was the starting point for them being pentapods related to starfish. So these are the early concepts. Those are cool. Interesting. And then, yeah, being a distant ancestor from sea stars. Starfeet. We're calling them starfeet now, just FYI. All right, and so here, this is cool. Arendelle actually drew the anatomy of the thing. Isn't this great? This is so great. Okay, so let's see. Well, we can just look at this. We have the head plate, the eyes on one side. We got the brain in there. The ejector, that's the ejector. Wing spit muscles. We have a lung back here. We got eggs back there. The mouth is on the bottom, and then it goes to the grinder, then the stomach, then the fermenter, and then the ejector. You can guess what that is. I wonder if it's going to fling poop at us. Then they've got the legs and all of these kind of veins. Look at those veins. And the hearts. Yeah, fantastic. Maybe it has 5 hearts, one for each leg. You know? Nerves and everything. This is fantastic. The mouth is at the bottom of the body. At the top of their head is the multi-purpose hole, which is multi-purpose hole. Yeah, which is connected to final fermentation chamber at the last stage of digestion. That's a really PC way to put it, Arendelle. That's fantastic. The creature produces eggs internally and either spew the eggs into the shallow water forming the egg raft, or they keep some eggs to hatch internally, where the hatchling... That's an interesting evolutionary thing, that you have choices. Where the hatchling can get to the fermentation chamber. The internally hatched young can then be spat out at food sources or at threats, which are... can you imagine spitting babies at your threats? We need to look into the culture of these beings, I think. Okay, here we go. These are early flyer concepts as well. In the lore for these creatures of behavior, egg incubation strategy and global population control is linked to them being very tribal creatures, where nearby unrelated tribes are considered to be enemies competing for resources. Ah yes, our single engineer tribe of 1. It would be nice to be able to have a lot of that simulated in the game, but doing so would be terrible for performance and not improve gameplay, so you'll just have to imagine that stuff going on in the background. That's fine. So here we have our stompers and our flyers, which turn into these guys. You can see the tiny wings are folded back. I don't know where the legs are. Did it say they grow legs, or they're just like hiding under their body maybe? I don't know. Okay, and then here's the final concept. This one changed a little bit with the legs. Yeah, and this I don't really... I like this one better. I like the earlier concept of the flyer better because it more closely matches the wriggler you get. This looks like a ball of mush with barely indistinguishable wings. I really like the wings of this one better, and you can see them folded back. This one, it's like... It kind of... I don't know. This just... doesn't do it for me. Anyway, as always, stomp around the usual places and fling your undeveloped thoughts at us. That's very clever. Anyway, what do you think about this FFF? Are you excited about this new thing? These new enemies? I've already seen some people on Discord saying, like, I hope you can turn them off. I'm guessing you can't because it seems like they produce a required item. However, I think that we are able to strategize some really, really competent defenses, and we would be able to just collect the eggs and stuff. I do wonder if we're going to need to do something like some kind of collection. How are we going to collect the eggs? So in the past, what we used to do, we used to build these like belt, I don't know, massive belts around the outside of the wall to push all the stuff toward the wall, and then we'd have like an undergroundy going into a wall collection zone. And then Nexla invented the bot thing. Oh God, what is it called? Oh no, I forgot. Anyway, it's the early bots. Nanobots. Nanobots, yay! And with that mod comes modifications to the Roboport, where the Roboport can do various things, including collect random junk off the ground. And I'm wondering if they're going to put that kind of functionality into vanilla, as in if stuff gets killed in the vicinity of a Roboport, will the robots go and collect these eggs and stuff? Because you can't really automate it unless you do that or you do the stupid belt thing, which I don't know if the belt thing would even work, because you have to kill the spawners to get the eggs. And you can't... Can you build a spawner on top of belts? I don't think so. Because the belts were more like biters attacking the base. And you didn't... Well, you did. You got biter bits and pieces from kind of like everything, I think, especially spawners. But yeah, in other mods that you get alien artifacts or alien things from artifacts or bits of artifacts from the enemies themselves and not just the spawner. So I'm really curious to see how that's going to be automated. They didn't tell us anything about that in this FFF. Other than it can be automated. So I'm really curious about that. What do you think is going to happen? I want to know. So anyway, that's all I got for you today. A huge thank you to you for being here. I'm really looking forward to the expansion. It's going to be great. So thank you so very much for joining me. Take care of yourselves and each other, and I'll see you next time.